وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. We want to recap on the life of Khadija radiallahu anha, some lessons that we can draw from what we heard about the life and the things that she went through for us as believers and those who love the Prophet ﷺ and his family, the Ahlul Bayt, and in particular the Azwaj Mutahharat, the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, the pure wives of the Prophet ﷺ. They are great examples for our sisters and mothers and daughters, because she was, of course, a daughter and also a great wife and a great mother as well, and a wife eventually. So one of the lessons that I wanted to share, number one, is that her marriage took place as we heard the story of, she went to the Prophet ﷺ and said that, are you interested in this proposal, that what if I propose myself to you? The Prophet ﷺ said, you're proposing to someone, you're my boss, right? For that moment and for that time. She's wealthy, she comes from a wealthy family, she owns a business, she's a businesswoman. The Prophet ﷺ was an employee of Khadija radiallahu anha, and he kind of hinted that, it doesn't look like a right match because I don't have anything. Her reply was incredible. She said that I saw in you good morals, and for that reason and only for that reason I will marry you. Good akhlaq. The Prophet ﷺ, he also taught us that in many ways how to choose a spouse, a partner, and what are the things that you look for. He mentioned a few things, and two things in particular he mentioned. Man tardawna khuluqa, and according to one hadith, choose that person, that partner, whose character is good, who has good morals, who has husn al-khuluq, right? And where you can match in that sense, where you also have good character, but also you're looking for that particular part of that person. And the second part that the Prophet ﷺ said, فَضْفَضْ لِذَاتِ الدِّينِ, or in another narration, مِمَّنْ تَرْضَوْنَ دِينًا, meaning that always keep the deen, the tradition, the religion at the top of the list. That should be your priority. That person may be lacking in other places, but if a person has good character and also has the deen, has the tradition intact, you have built your رَبَّنَا أَتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيا, you have built your dunya and your akhirah, وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً. So that's the hasana that we ask for. So she chose that character of the Prophet ﷺ. She didn't look at. From that we also understand the second point is that if a person is lacking in one aspect, that maybe perhaps it will look like that, falling short on this category, but there are other great things that you can see in the person and choose for that part. And you should not just turn down, in particular when it comes to money, being balanced, status in the society, because of who you are from your financial background. Khadija radiallahu anha could care less about that. She was looking for something greater. And perhaps, at that point, the Prophet ﷺ didn't declare his prophethood at that time. He has not been asked to marry Khadija as a prophet. For the other wives of the Prophet ﷺ, that was a great motive. If no other reason, if that was the only thing, that was the greatest motive, that I want to be associated with the Prophet ﷺ. I want to be a partner of the Prophet ﷺ. At that time, rich women would not want that. But at this time, he was jobless, meaning that he didn't have a job. He's the employee of Khadija radiallahu anha, and he is not wealthy, right? But he does come from a very noble family. Of course, that part was there. And the third point that we can learn is that her being wealthy did not come in her way moving forward in that marriage, in that relationship. There was an interesting conversation with the Prophet ﷺ and his youngest wife, Aisha radiallahu anha. Aisha radiallahu anha, we will talk about her when we come to talk about her, inshallah. But this incident is very interesting because it's related to Khadija radiallahu anha. That once the Prophet ﷺ was waiting at home with Aisha, and Hala, the sister of Khadija radiallahu anha, she knocked on a door and she said something that is Muhammad there or something like that. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is the Prophet of Allah there, something like that. And the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he just kind of changed, his mode changed, just hearing this voice. And he immediately said, "Oh, it's Khadija's sister here," because of course, siblings sound alike each other. So he just remembered, because he knew that how Khadija used to sound, and that's her sister calling, and said, "It has to be her." And then Aisha opens the door, and it's Khadija's sister, radiallahu anha, both were companions of the Prophet ﷺ. And she came in, and the Prophet ﷺ praised her, and gave her a special place and gave her special attention. And then after she left, Aisha she said some harsh words. And because she was the youngest and she was very close to the Prophet ﷺ, and a relationship from her childhood actually, so that she was very frank with the Prophet. That was also another way how the Prophet ﷺ, his family life. And she said, "Didn't Allah replace her with a young lady, that old lady, and now a young lady is in your marriage?" And she went on, and the Prophet ﷺ said, "Kalla wallahi, by Allah, Allah did not replace her with anybody else." Straightforward. Qawlan sadida. Say it straightforward. Allah did not replace her. And then the Prophet ﷺ mentioned 3 or 4 things. She believed me when everybody denounced me, didn't want to believe in me. And she accepted me. She gave me shelter when everybody disregarded me. And she spent her wealth when everybody withdrew their assistance to me. That was fascinating. That how much she contributed to the Prophet ﷺ, and never bragged about it. Never said, "Oh, but I make more money than you." So that the balance, and that wealth, and being wealthy, and being from a financial strong structure, doing the house chores and the work and taking care of the kids, that also never, and is mentioned, it never came in the way. There's a mentioning of how she took care of her kids, because all the kids of the Prophet ﷺ are from Khadija radiallahu anha, and she had servants, and a lot of the work that she could have asked the servants to do, like cooking food, making the bread, grinding the wheat, she would do it by herself and not ask the maids to do it. Isn't that incredible? That although she can afford, but it gives us a lesson that helping out at home, especially from our moms and wives and daughters, the women, them helping and being part of the whole fabric of the house, it just brings love. And also for our brothers, because I'm talking about from the women's aspect, the Ummahat al-Mu'mineen, right? For those who are watching, for our sisters, although normally I don't have that many sisters in this gathering. So she was always there. She helped and to be part of it and to help and to be there present and do it yourself and kind of cutting the onions right, stirring the food, it just brings love. It brings, we can buy all this stuff from outside, ready-made stuff that we have processed food, which is not very healthy physically and also spiritually and also in the family setting. Perhaps maybe if you can't do it every day, at least on the weekends, certainly we can do it on certain days and occasions. So these are very important lessons that how she contributed to the house and to the children, although she had the means to do it otherwise. And the last point is that she, Khadija radiallahu anha, was a person that had previous experience as a married woman, and she had children from her previous 2 marriages, as we mentioned, and now here she is married to the Prophet ﷺ. She was a widow, and now married to the Prophet ﷺ, who is a young man, and she's 15 years older. There was a great contribution on her end to have the Prophet ﷺ love her so much that even after she passes away, he can never forget her. So definitely she has put a lot of effort. And on the other hand, the Prophet ﷺ, on his end, how much effort he also put in to love Khadija radiallahu anha. Although that was a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that hadith where Aisha radiallahu anha, she complained, in the end, the Prophet ﷺ kind of closed with a great remark, and he said, what can I do? I can't help myself. Allah has ruziqtu hubba. Allah has given her love to me as a sustenance. So I have to live with that. And that gives us maybe that's a 5th point I will mention, that the Prophet ﷺ was very loyal, and loyalty was one of his great characters, and all of his characters were the greatest. But loyalty, it was something that the Prophet ﷺ never forgot. Never forgot his people, never forgot something that someone did good to him. In particular, for someone who was so close to him, it is mentioned that when the Prophet ﷺ came into Mecca, he came from the areas called Hajun, and that's right where Jannat al-Ma'ala, the graveyard of Mecca, and that's where Khadija radiallahu anha is buried. So he kind of entered from that area. And the scholars say that, or the scholars of the Seerah, say that the Prophet ﷺ had a flag, and he gave it to one of his Sahabi, and he said, put this flag high up so the people of Hajun can see it. That was an interesting point. He didn't do it in Mecca as he got into his own city, but he did it in Hajun. So the scholars say that he did it because he wanted to show to Khadija, who's buried there, look, I got your place back. The city that we were born and raised, the place that we lived together, and we had a great time. And you didn't see that blessing of freedom and the blessing of living in prosperity and all of that now I'm seeing. We have the flag. It's there. We got it. So that's, even after she passes, after all these years, when was it? Fatah Mecca, 8th of Hijrah. So it means 11 years after she passes away, 11, 12 years, the Prophet ﷺ is still remembering her entering into Mecca, where he has an army of thousands of people, and he is encountering so many, but he never forgot that aspect. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make our family structure strong, and that we carry the morals as this couple, the greatest couple that perhaps ever lived. The way how they showed mutual respect and loyalty and love and understanding and giving and being there for the other. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring all of it to our homes and to our spouses and to our children. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those who have not seen that life, oh Allah, bring the perfect and the right spouse and the right partner for them, and provide them the khair and the good the best of the deen and the best of the khuluq on both ends.